Earth is home to around 1 billion trees that belong to over 60,000 species, and they live on every continent but Antarctica. And while they may seem extremely vulnerable to environmental changes, seeing as they can't get up and leave when the climate no longer suits them, trees have actually been around for close to 400 million years. They've survived all 4 extinction events that they've been around for, and their ability to break down rocks, create soil, and siphon carbon dioxide from the air and replace it with oxygen is what made our planet habitable for humans. But however grateful foresters, poets, and lumberjacks might be for their presence, trees have always been a bit difficult to understand. When it comes to finding similarities between trees and animals, there's not a lot to work with. Trees are immobile, don't have blood or lymph or nervous systems, and only need sunlight and water to produce their own supply of food. They can live for thousands of years, growing slowly taller and wider. One Great Basin bristlecone pine is over 5,000 years old, and even in a forest, they seem like solitary individuals, competing for access to sunlight, but otherwise having no interactions with their neighbors. But as it turns out, there's more to trees than meets the eye. It was only a matter of looking deeper, down to the roots instead of up to the canopy. While we might only see and hear the birds and squirrels filling forests with noise, there's a vast network of communication happening right under our feet. Trees sharing resources, passing on warnings, and passing down information over the generations. A network of trees talking. It allows the forest to behave as if it's a single organism, and makes scientists rethink the evolution of tree life. Is it based on competition or cooperation? And by understanding this network, we might be able to unlock secrets that will help in our fight against deforestation and climate change as a whole. On our planet, mutualism is a fundamental part of many organisms' biology. The clownfish that gets protection from an anemone, the anemone that gets nutrients from the fish, the cleaner wrasse who eats parasites from reef fish, the reef fish staying healthy, the bees that gather nectar from flowers, while the pollen stuck to their bodies pollinates it. But perhaps the most widespread and ecologically significant symbiosis is one we can't see, a partnership between soil, fungi, and land plants. In 1885, German botanist Albert Bernhard Frank first proposed the idea that plant roots and the fungi around them were working together. And like with many bold scientific assertions, he was basically laughed out of the room. But in the last century, nearly all of Frank's major hypotheses have been unequivocally demonstrated. We now know that plant and fungal associations, known as mycorrhizal associations, are present in almost all ecosystems, from deserts to tropical forests, and that about 90% of terrestrial plants are connected to some form of mycorrhizal fungi network. Mycorrhizae are a fungus which grows in association with the roots of a plant in a symbiotic relationship. The most common fungal networks are made of arbuscular mycorrhiza, which are named for the Latin arbuscule, meaning little tree. The threads of this fungi penetrate the root cells of their host and form tiny structures inside of them. This is how they interact with the trees and share resources with them. The other major class of fungi are ectomycorrhizal fungi. These fungi form a sheath around the roots of their hosts and grow between the plant's cells to exchange nutrients. They have a symbiotic relationship with fewer plants than the arbuscular mycorrhiza, but their hosts tend to be the most economically important trees, as they are often the most widespread trees that we use for timber. While the two classes of fungal networks belong to very different species, their relationship with the host plants are pretty similar. The fungi pick up water and nutrients from the soil, including phosphorus and nitrogen, which are both important for plant growth, and transfer them to their plant hosts. In return, the plants transfer their fungal friends between 4 and 20% of their photosynthate, the sugars they produce by photosynthesizing. This relationship is the backbone of all our forests on Earth. And without it, life on land as we know it may have never emerged. But In recent decades, scientists have realized it's not just the individual tree and the fungi that have a relationship, sharing resources back and forth, but that the trees themselves are connected by this intricate, vast network. The first inkling that trees might actually work together came in a study in the early 1980s. Scientists planted pines side by side in a box in the lab, then inoculated their roots with the mycorrhizal fungi to establish an underground fungal network. Then, they tagged the photosynthetic sugars produced by the donor pine with radioactive carbon. They did this by sealing one plant in a box with radioactive carbon dioxide. They then allowed the pine to absorb it and convert it into radioactive sugars through photosynthesis. Then, they placed photographic film over the side of the root box, hoping to see where the radioactive particles traveled from one plant to the other, or if they traveled at all. When they developed the film, they saw the path that the charged particles had taken, and the path was through the mycorrhizal fungal network, traveling from one tree to the other. The idea that trees may share resources presented scientists with an evolutionary paradox. Trees have always been known to evolve by competing, not cooperating. Trees grow tall to reach the most sunlight. Their roots branch far and wide to suck up the most water. Those that get shaded or reach less water often don't survive. If trees of the same species, or even of different species, shared resources,